Hi everyone, Mike here with you guys once again, and I'm trying to get myself in the center here. Um, as you know, net neutrality is about to end in a couple days. This is the last week the internet will be a free and open medium. It's currently the only open medium that we have. If you look at every other form of media, it's controlled. Television, radio, film, etc. Newspapers. But the internet is the only source of media that we have where it's not controlled and it's, free and open and you can find anything in any point of view and so on. That's going to change this week because net neutrality is going away and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's going to suck. So, rather than try to do another call to action like I did back a couple years ago, instead I'm going to reminiscent on my experience with the internet from the time my mom first got it to today. Now, I've had a little bit of experience with the internet at school and at my mom's boyfriend's house back when she had a boyfriend back in '99. But we're going to start with when my mom finally got the internet, which was the end of summer of 1999. And one of the things I did was I wanted to meet people who shared my interests. And my interest at the time was punk rock. So I would go to the punk chats and talk to people. And I actually dated a few people from that chat room. There was a girl whose dad played in a band with David Bowie. I'm not making this up. True story. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say who it is or go into any more information on that. I also met a friend who had a friend who was related to Johnny Cash. And I've talked to her. That was many, many years ago. So yeah, that's what you'll find. But anyways, so dated a few people. Also, I also have to mention around this time, the reason I love bunnies, what got me into bunnies, was this girl online that I liked. We were having a conversation, and we were talking about what we were holding. I was holding my pillow. She was holding a plush bunny. And something went off in my head that made me love bunnies. So that is why I love bunnies to this day. Well, so that's how it started. Started with chat rooms and websites, and next up, shortly after, I discovered that you can watch videos online. Guess what videos I discovered that with? PSAs. Particularly the Partnership for a Drug-Free America. I went to their website and found out you could download something called a Real Player, and I downloaded that and was able to watch PSAs. Now, the video quality was not very good. We were using dial-up at the time. But it, at the time, we didn't know this, but it turned out it was showing the future. It was showing where media was going. And I have a feeling that a conversation took place within the establishment that said, we never should have given them the internet. We're going to be exposed one day. Look at this. And I bet he or she was laughed out of the room when they said that, and they're probably looking back now going, crap, he was right. Or she was right. I don't know. I don't know if this scenario actually took place, but I think it may have. I wouldn't be surprised if that comes out one day. If that type of conversation has happened. But because like I said, because the internet is the one thing that's not controlled, it's the one thing that's exposed the powerful and their agenda. We know what they're up to now because of the internet, and they're scared because we almost had Bernie Sanders in there, and they did not like that, and they don't want that happening again. That's part of why they're wanting to shut it down, and why they're taking action now to make the internet controlled. Anyways, back to the PSAs. Partnership for Drug-Free America. Watched those videos. Then I discovered mp3.com. And that's when he found out music was there. And this was right before Napster. And what happened was the emo bands embraced this technology while the industrial bands rejected it. guess which became more popular? That's right. It was the emo genre, and I believe it was because they were willing to embrace new technology while the industrial scene shunned it and was trying to avoid it. Because you can talk to emo bands, they're like, yeah, we got our start on mp3.com. Not only did you not see the big industrial bands at the time on that site, they would tell you to buy the CD, don't download the song. Anyway. And of course Napster happened, and the problem with Napster was that technology was getting ahead of the business model. So, and that was why Napster was so controversial, because there was no way to make money off of music at the time. And that's why, you know, it was simply the business model, the way that people... normally when a new format comes along in an entertainment medium, there's a way to profit off of it. There's a way to make it marketable and make it to where you can make money off of that system. With MP3s, that was not the case for a long time. It is now. Eventually, the business model caught up with the technology, but for a while there, that was not the case. And so people were getting free music up the wazoo, and then eventually that would happen with movies, and then games. But now that has, the money has, the business model has finally caught up with the technology, so chances are if you want to get us all online, you got to buy it if you want to own it. Now, if you want to watch it on YouTube, that's a whole other thing. So, as for me, let's see what else I discovered online, because let me tell you about my 9/11 experience. And what I mean by that is where I was the day, because this is connected to the internet. I was asleep, or I was trying to sleep when 9/11 first happened, and I vaguely heard something about something bad happening in New York. I wake up in the afternoon, go to Yahoo, check my email and everything, check all my email addresses, because I had several, and the headline was, plane crashes into multiple areas. New York, you know, the Pentagon, and I think it was, what was the other place? I can't remember where the other spot was. But I thought the rapture happened, because I had listened to some Left Behind audio tape prior, like the year before, and so when I heard that planes were crashing in different parts of the country, I thought, you know, the rapture happened. Of course, it turned out to be terrorism. But I found that out online, so I consider it an online experience. So let's see what else. As I go, let's see what other things I remember about the internet. Of course, I discovered, you know, music on there, like industrial punk bands, industrial bands. It wasn't the only place I discovered them.
No, you got enough courage.
I have not. I'm not there yet.
Oh.
I'm telling the story chronologically, and I am nowhere near that. I'm still in like the early 2000s. Okay. Alright, I gotta move here. I'm being kicked out. Come on, bunny. You can talk to the bunny while we move. Maybe. Bye. Bye, Louie, honey. My bunny.
Siva.
Okay, so as this is going to be, sorry to make you guys wait through all this. I'm trying to do this chronologically. Let's see. Of course, online gaming happened later on, and that got big. Let's see. And then I think we're in the middle of the decade. We'll go there next, because that's when I started watching Stephen Colbert clips, and that was before, like, the year before YouTube. YouTube was really when things took off, because you were able to find anything. I was able to discover PSAs from other parts of the world. Oh yeah, gotta talk about MySpace, because I went there to promote myself as a DJ, and MySpace became so popular, it became a place where you would get band requests constantly, and I felt like it devalued music at the time. Because normally when you hear about a new band, or, you want to check it out, but when you get so many of them, you don't really have the time or don't want to bother listening to all those bands. That went away now. That's not a thing anymore. But that was happening around the time when I was a DJ, and it happened, and also when I became a musician myself and started creating my own music, and so on. So so that was important. But yeah, I really want to get into YouTube because that really opened up Pandora's box, and you could find just about anything. And the best thing about, one of my favorite things about YouTube is that it's a time machine. I'm able to go back and look into the past, and it's also created new audiences for things that have disappeared for decades. So that's awesome. Now, I'm running out of time here, so I gotta jump ahead. We're gonna go into my relationships in terms of, not my online dating, that where I dated somebody long distance, or had something with them long distance. I'm talking about in person. That happened with this girl back in 2007 and 2008. We met online in 2007, but we met in person in 2008. It was my first real relationship that I really had, where it was full on official. She was there, I was there, and that happened. I thought that was going to be the only time. It wasn't, obviously. Also, I don't know if you heard my wife, but she mentioned this. I'm going to mention it here in the detail. I met my wife in person, and she was one of my high school crushes that I never talked to. I finally got to talk to her online, and I did this because of a friend of mine's friend who I met in 2011, who encouraged me to actually give it a shot and try to talk to these girls I liked. And when I said yes, ended up being my wife years later. So the internet, and also, so the internet has really changed my life in a lot of ways. And of course, college. Did my course online. Did my externship with the help of the internet. I could not understand the content or the material. I didn't even know what it was, but I would not have understood the material if it wasn't for the internet. The internet really does make you smarter. But now that is going away, and that leads us to where we are today. And it's all going to come crashing down this week. So, we lost the battle. Eventually, this is going to happen. The corporations were never going to let us, have a free medium forever. This is going to be looked back on as the Wild West of the internet, and I think future generations are going to grow up so used to a controlled internet, they're not even going to be able to imagine the way it was for decades. But this is the best that the internet will ever be. So that is all I have to say. I really do appreciate you guys hearing me out on this. My love of bunnies, the person that I am, my living situation, everything about my life right now, I owe to the internet. And of course, online gaming is in downloading gaming. We know how awesome that was, and how the internet opened up my console, really helped make it come alive, especially the Xbox 360 back in the last generation, and all that. But yeah, rest in peace, internet. I am going to miss you completely.